YouTube fam, we made it for another one. We made it for another one. So glad to have you here. You know what? Let me go ahead right off top, right off the top. Let's go ahead and bring in my esteemed debate partner on the block
Hi,
with Jen. Look at this, black with the caps. Okay.
I'm ready today. I'm ready today.
How did we do this? Black with the caps, both of us.
Oh, what? Oh, this was planned. This was not planned, but
It
you
was
see,
not.
we on the same vibe.
Okay,
We on
that's
the
what's
same
happening.
vibe. It was not planned, I promise you, but we here, so let's get it.
We can roll with it. We can roll with it. Well, I want to welcome all the people who are currently with us in the chat right now. Go ahead and give a quick shout out. Before the billions, always here supporting us. We got Ellie JJ, RN USA. So glad to have you here. Ellie is coming at me. Ellie says, Frank, you stabbed me in the back last time I watched you.
Uh-oh.
However, I was throwing you around KS in KS chat related to what I thought an alpha male was. So I get what I get. I guess so. Ellie, this is exactly I did. I didn't know I did, so you're gonna have to let me know.
Uh-oh.
And we got Frank the Fawcett Media joining us one more
Oh,
time,
yeah,
giving us
that's how it's spelled, because I was like faucet, like water faucet, but it's
mm,
faucet. Okay.
Fawcett. Yes. He goes by Fawcett. I was able to join him on one of his previous streams. He and I were talking about different things in the industry, as it relates to just independent filmmaking and black independent filmmaking as well. So it was great
Mhm.
to chop it up with him on his stream. Just about everybody here has streamed, so everybody be sure to support the streams here, Fawcett Media, before the billions. And Ellie, JJ, I forget. Let me know if you have a YouTube channel coming, because I forget. I don't believe you do, because I feel like I would have already subscribed by now. All right, but it's always good. So, as you know, you are here again for yet another episode of Objections, where that's Jen and I, go at it. We throw the verbal fisticuffs. We bring up the topics as we sort of go over and kind of go back and forth with our opinions on topical subjects.
Mhm.
Um, and what's cool about it is that we invite you to come on board to share your objections. And as we always do, we want you to make sure that when you bring your objections, you bring your civility with you as well. We want you to be comfortable, absolutely comfortable bringing, expressing how whatever, bring your conscience, whatever you feel, bring it. But just bring it with some civility and some respect.
Mhm.
And that's how we maintain it. That's how we do it. And every now and then we learn a little something when we do that. Jen, you want to throw in on that?
I just want to say hello, welcome everybody. Nice to see you. ¿Cómo está? Hola, mi gente. I'm excited about tonight's show. I think we're going to get a lot of objections on this one because I got some things to say that's going to rub you the wrong way. But that's what I do.
Yeah. It's all good though. That's what we want.
All in love. It's tough love.
Tough love across the board.
It is.
All right. So we might as well jump right in here, because this does promise to be a hot one. If some of you may have, probably all of us have seen, we got us a situation here
We do.
where we have one Meek Mill who has decided to take
Meek Mill, the rapper, in case people don't know who he is.
who I guess he has a new project coming out. I haven't actually looked up on that, but I'm guessing so, because he decided to wrap his tour bus with what I believe is going to be his album cover. And I remember back in the days when album covers, even with albums, and this is the early days now, early 90s, they would throw that big explicit right on the front of the cover. and maybe the covers weren't necessarily as explicit as the music, but
Right.
if we can get away these days with what I saw on that album cover, then we're gonna get into it. So what I want to do now is actually I pulled the video and I did a little Frank Gooden editing to keep it a little clean for my virgin ears. How about that? And
so you're giving us the Christian edit. See,
yes,
I would have gave it all. I would have gave it all full impact, but I get it.
Just the word. We can still see everything, and that's close enough. But at least the words, at least the cussing.
Yeah, because they have to see the images to get the full impact of this rant.
Absolutely. So you know what? Let's just go ahead and I'm gonna start this rant. Let's watch it. It's not too long. It's only almost 2 minutes, and then let's come back on the other side with our topics.
Okay.
Look at this bus. Look at this bus that goes by in my neighborhood. What the is this? What the is this? What is this? This is on the side of a bus. This is on the side of a bus rolling through your street. Rolling on the side of your street. Is this what you want, black women? Is this what you want, black women? Is this what you want? Look at this Look at this on the side of a bus. Is this what you want, black women? Is this what you want? Is this how you want to be respected? Is this how you want to be respected in life? This is how you want to look? This is how you want to be portrayed? Stand up to this bull. I'm from Philly. I actually should support Meek Mill. This is disgusting bull. Look at this lady. Look at this. This is on the side of a bus where little girls can pull up and see the shit. That's her. Let's not mistake what this pink dot is. This is disgusting. This is satanic bull. I'm so sick of this. I'm so sick of. Look at this you're getting on. This is for everyone to see. Little girls are seeing this crap. It's crap. This is disgusting. This is disgusting. I'm so sick of them just rubbing Satanism right in your face. Oh, it's for art. This is art. Is this art? Black and white checkerboard. What is that? It's a Masonic flooring. Duh. Look at this garbage. Money. Garbage. Wake up. It's all related. The vaccine. This crap. It's all related. They're all the same spider. Controlling you. Stop complying. Take your freaking mask off. Read about germ theory. It's ridiculous already. Clean the freaking water. Stop dumping in the air. Get organic food. Grow your own food. Insane. You see that? You see what they're doing to the black women on the outside of that bus? You see what they're doing to your sisters over there? Disgusting. So tired of
All right. So he let it go. And you know what? That leads us directly into, because there are a number of topics I want to pull off of that one rant. That leads us directly into my first one. Let's check out the graphic. All right, this is objections. So, let's start out. We got a lot we can talk about, but let's start out with this being objections. Where is this guy wrong? Where is he wrong? I want to throw it to you and let you get the first stab at it, Jen.
Me?
Now, I can go if you want me to. You want to throw it back? I got you.
I'll throw it back at you because I don't think he's wrong. So that's the short answer.
All right. Well, let me jump in. I think he's wrong in a couple places.
Okay. Then you object.
Yeah, I object to this is. I think there's some things that he got right, but I don't want to talk about what he got right now. I want to talk about what I think he got wrong. I object to him bringing in, let's see here. At the very end, he wants to bring in COVID and the vaccine. To me, okay, I understand some of the righteous indignation, and I'm going to let that be for another part. But for me, when you start bringing in, things that really are unrelated to the issue, then to me it's like it's actually serving to weaken the argument that he has. He from my standpoint, he's starting out with some pretty strong convictions that he expresses really well. And what's cool about it is that here he I don't want to go to the stuff I agree with, right? No. I'm staying with what he did wrong. He shouldn't have brought in COVID and vaccines. That has nothing to do with none of this. But now you want to tie that into your theory about some overall thing. He brought up the Masonic thing. Okay, cool. He can have that as a possible thing, but I mean, it has nothing to do. Let's not even dilute the conversation. So to me, when he goes in, I think it was one other thing at the end that I forget that he brought up too, that just has nothing to do with the issue. So look, dude, I get it. You're upset, and you got something to stand on here at the beginning that I can kind of rock with and roll with, but don't bring in this other stuff with it. That's where I think he's wrong.
Okay. So me go.
You go.
Okay, so listen. The man is not good at compartmentalizing. That is obvious, right? But that's what a rant is, right? When let's say we all have children, right? Our children does that one last thing. I told you, do the dishes. And what is a rant? You never do the dishes. And another thing, you never clean up this room. I gave you one chore. You were supposed to mop last week. As a matter of fact, is the laundry even in the dryer? So that's what a rant is. So I understand why he was just like, you know what? And another thing, COVID, and another thing, Satanism, and another thing. So I get it. I don't say he's exactly wrong. He's just not good at compartmentalizing. You know what I'm saying? But when you're on a rant, you're just like, I'm gonna get this all out. Since I have your attention, I'm gonna say everything. So I wouldn't say it was wrong. I would just say, he was vomiting everything that he felt about society all in one gulp. But I don't even want to address what he said at the end because the beginning was so important to us specifically. I don't want to get into the mask and the COVID and Satanism. I don't even think that was necessary, but it was a rant. So,
all right, so let's do this. Now, I don't think, let's just throw it out there, and this is for our chat too. Maybe notes if you want to jump in. So was he wrong being a white guy with all of that? Was he wrong being a white guy? What do you think? I'm going to go ahead and say, nah, he wasn't wrong. He wasn't wrong being a white guy.
I don't think it was wrong that he was white because he was right. Right? In my opinion, right? In my objection, he was correct. He was right. So at that point, it's like, forget the messenger. This message is profound, right? It's like, that didn't bother me, right? And trust me, I was listening very intently because I'm like, what you about to say, white man? Watch it.
Right.
Careful, right? But he didn't say anything that I was like, you have no place to speak about this.
You know what? And so we agree, no objections here on that. And it's good to pull that out kind of in the beginning. You know what? Here's a white guy kind of commenting on an aspect of what might be typically called Black culture, with this little hip hop album and speaking on some things that he felt like weren't right. Being a white guy, you might do exactly what you say. You might kind of want to look at him and say, okay, well, who are you to speak on it? But I think he was right too, and I think to me he spoke on it in a way that was race neutral too, in my opinion. For most of it, there were a couple things that he brought up, but that were relevant. But I believe he approached it in a race neutral way, and so let's point that out. You can be a white guy and you can speak on things and not have people who like myself who are Black come at you and try to throw you out the conversation. No,
let me throw this out there because I know it's coming.
Yeah,
right? I like to be ahead. I know it's coming. People are gonna say, "Well, why is he not out there ranting about what white people are doing? Right? Why isn't he out there ranting? There are plenty of white people doing despicable things. Why is he talking about us? Who is he? Right? People are gonna do that. But what he's talking about is affecting us, right? Our image, our children, like." So I don't care. And another thing I don't do is I don't do the comparison thing because whatever white people are doing to white people is not affecting us, right? So if he was like, oh, MGK is doing X, Y, and Z on his album cover, well, I'm not a white woman. My children aren't white. So however they view white women has nothing to do with me, right? But I know people are going to say, well, why does he need to talk about white people? They don't have anything to do with me. So.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So we wanted to cover that. This is objections. We want to kind of nitpick. We want to find out where you're wrong first before we go to the next question. And that is, where is the guy? Right. Okay. He spoke on he spoke on some stuff here. So, in your opinion, you want to take this? You want to kind of speak on where in his rant, and it was a rant, just like you said, where was he right?
He was absolutely right when he said, is this how you want to be portrayed, right? And I'm paraphrasing. Is this how you want to be portrayed? You know, children have to roll up next to that bus and see those images. He was absolutely right. Like when I saw the bus and the pictures on the bus, and this isn't Meek Mill's private tour bus. These are ads plastered on buses going up and down, you know what I mean, Hollywood Boulevard.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's not hit. It's a public bus. Okay, it is public transportation. So you could have pulled up next to that bus with your children, right? And I was horrified because I was thinking of my grandbaby, and I was like, had we pulled up to that bus, you know, he's always looking for landmarks and pointing things out. I wouldn't even know how to explain why this cartooned black woman was bent over and what is that pink thing between her legs, and grandma, why is she naked? So he was absolutely right about that. Now, you know, when you start getting into the vaccine and the mask and all that other stuff, that's personal preference, right? Whether or not I get the vaccine is not going to affect, you know, your child's image of black women. It's just not. But something that's so blatantly despicable and plastered on buses going up and down, you know what I mean, the street, I think he was absolutely right. Absolutely right to call people out on it. Is this how you want to be portrayed?
That's it. And I'm with you in the way you said it. To me, he was absolutely right in calling it out, not sort of just looking at it and maybe even thinking to himself, whoa, what is this? But sort of the righteous indignation here of saying, wait a minute, this is not. And to me, like I said, the way he did it, he wasn't, you know, coming at it to me from a racial point of view, as if somehow to point things out and say, like, he didn't come out and say that this is what's wrong with black people now, y'all do foolish, silly stuff like this. No, this was not an indictment on black culture for him. This was an expression of just flat out indignation and disgust that something like this is on a bus, from the moral perspective, from the culturally acceptable perspective, from the perspective of you know, is this decent? You know, so from a decency perspective, I feel like he was absolutely right to do, and he, you know, he let it go. He let those feelings be known. He did not. There was absolutely no inhibition from him with you know, letting everybody know exactly what was on his mind about it. Even as he's walking away, and you can see he had, you know, some sort of interaction with apparently a black woman. We don't see her, but we can hear it, and we can kind of assume he's like, come on, this is, you know, this is representing you. Is this what you want? Type thing. So where was he right? He was right in calling it out. He was right in identifying the, you know, just the ridiculous indecency with it. And so I cannot object with you on that one, Jen. Anything you want to add? Go ahead. Anything you want to add, or you want to go to our next topic?
Go to the next.
Okay. So next topic then, if we kind of, seeing eye to eye on that one, let's see if we can see eye to eye on this one. All right. So what in the world was Meek Mill thinking? Not only what he was thinking, because that, when you just brought this new information for me to the table that this was plastered on just a regular city bus, basically, what was anybody thinking? I'll start with Meek Mill since it's here, but maybe by extension, every person, every stage that this had to go through in order for that to for the bus, a city bus, to be wrapped in that, what were they thinking? What you got?
I think well, that they're different parts. I think Meek Mill was thinking what a lot of rappers think: Black women are expendable, right? They're sex objects. So he was, he's thinking, I'm putting my album out, this is what it's going to be. And then you go to the label, and the label is thinking, we're going to make money, right? And at the expense of Black women looking like prostitutes, you know what I mean, on stripper poles, bent over and naked. Who cares? We're making money. So I think that's what Meek Mill was thinking. Some people would say, God, were you thinking at all? You know what I mean? Were you not thinking? He was thinking. He was very calculated, and he knew that it was going to be controversial. I mean, this is what these artists do. How controversial can I get? That's why they're kissing same-sex partners on stage, and that's why they're running around. The other day, there was a white woman who performed absolutely buck naked, you know what I mean, on like Saturday Night Live holding a guitar. So everybody's trying to out scandalize, out gay, out, be controversial each other, right? Everybody, like, when I wake up, I'm like, okay, let's see what crazy artist did whatever crazy thing. They're trying to outdo each other at the expense of other people. And I'll say this and throw it back, because this is something that bothers me, right? We've heard all our lives, from athletes to artists, I'm not a role model, right? That's your responsibility. Your children are your responsibility. And I absolutely agree with them, right? That's why when, my grandchild and my child, something crazy is on TV, I turn the channel. I cannot listen to Cardi B or Meg Thee Stallion finish a verse. If it's a collab, when they come up, I promise you, if I'm in a car or I'm at home, I will skip over their verse, right? That's me, right? Being the role model and protecting my children. But when you are plastered in public, on a public bus, now there's a huge issue, because now we're going beyond, mind your own kids, because that I can't control, because the powers that be are now plastering it, 100 feet across on a bus. And that is an issue for me. I can turn you off on TV. I can turn you off on the radio. I can do my parental job. But now this is out of control. And that's what pisses me off. Now I have to explain why you're licking Meg Thee Stallion's ass somewhere, right? Because it's plastered on the bus. So it's like, what are we going to do about this? Where is this going to end? Because now you're tying our hands completely. And you can't use the excuse anymore. Well, I'm not raising your kids. Yeah, I'm not their role model. I absolutely agree. You are absolutely not. But now what? When they're wrapping buses with women's vaginas and boobs, and now what? What do we do now as parents? And that's what worries me. What's next? A billboard in Times Square? It's probably at Times Square right now as I speak, actually, because it's a new album that Meek Mill is dropping. So what do we do now?
I'm going to read this before I jump in. Black Grant says, I heard his album dropped last week and his numbers were really low. Why is disrespecting Black women the way to save a Black man's career? I think that's an excellent question. Like, it leads into the whole, what was Meek Mill thinking? And I was absolutely clueless. When I wrote the question, I was hoping for insight, because I'm just wondering, what is it that is going through your mind that would allow you to do exactly what Black Rain is talking about here? It's obviously disrespecting the just the human dignity of Black women in a very fundamental level. What can possibly be the answer? And then, sure enough, you to me provided the answer. Black Rain agrees with you. It was all about making something that was controversial, making sure, he must need this money. He must need those album sales really bad because he made sure to find something so controversial that we could not take our eyes away from it. And sure enough, conversation exploded. People are talking about it. You and I are debating about it, bringing up as a subject of conversation. I guess it kind of doesn't matter. I'm going here. Let's see here. I want to, before I move forward, and and then I want to go. I'm gonna read some stuff, and I want to go to that next follow up question. Well, okay, we see what he was thinking, but what were the people who approved this were thinking? I'm going down. Let's see.
And I want to give in between time, I want to give a shout out to Black Rain. Thank you for suggesting that we dissect this subject, because Black Rain did suggest it. And please, if there's a subject or a story that you see and you want us to debate it, by all means, either throw it in my comments or talk with Frank Gooden on his comments, subscribe, and the notification bell, you already know. But if you guys catch something that we don't, because we're running around doing our thing, by all means, please come in, email us, or leave it in the comments what you'd like us to debate. Because this I didn't even know about. Black Rain is the one that introduced this topic to me, and then I went and searched, and I was like, "Whoa, ew!" So thank you, Black.
Shout, yes, I want to echo that. Shout out to Black Rain. Appreciate it. This is something because it's going to give us the opportunity to take us to the last question. I'm looking forward to when we get there. But Adrian Nasher says there are some Black women YouTube content creators who say that Black women, I think she's saying, are expendable. Maybe she'll pop on and kind of talk a little bit more about that. Fawcett Media is thinking we're moving a little too fast. Or at least Black Rain. Black Rain, slow down. You turn the corner a little too fast. What does this bus have to do with all Black men saving their career? So he's taking issue. He's got an objection. We got some objections over in the chat with the inference of it being, yeah, there we go. Jen has it. Not all, some, with the inference that maybe this is something that all Black men. And I'm sure the comeback here is going to be.
It's a very soothing statement. Not all, some, right? And she didn't say all. She didn't say all. Right? She.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think it was all. But we can let the objection. We'll let them do their thing in the chat. And then if you want to bring it up here and with Jen and myself, then we can let you do that too. In fact, I'm getting ready to drop this link in a little bit. But on to this next one that's kind of a follow-up. Okay, so we see the motivation, if you will, for someone like a Meek Mill having an album that is struggling and wants to get it out. How on God's green earth did this idea then get elevated to the point where you have people who presumably have no skin in the game with respect to selling an album? Somehow, I'm thinking city leaders, city officials, people who somehow represent the public transportation authority. How can they approve? Who approved this?
Right.
And so if it did, then it does it speak to, some willingness to, bring the image of Black women in general down to a certain level? Or did somehow they not see it? Did it somehow just they felt like, oh, this is how it's normal for us to see Black women anyway? So do we put it's just a thing? Hey, this is what they do over there in the hood. Let's just let them do that because that's how they see themselves, and we just roll with it. I mean, how did that happen? What do you think on that?
I'd say, okay, this is where people are gonna get. This is where people gonna get mad. If people gonna get mad. I don't think that the people that approved that rap, the bus rap, I don't think it's their fault. One inkling, one eon. I don't think it's the fault of the label at all, whatsoever, at all. And people are gonna say, yeah, but they put that music out, and if that's not the type of music Meek Mill, produces, they're not gonna. Not their fault. Not their fault. Not their fault. Meek Mill is a Black man. Okay, he approved it first, right? We got all kinds of marketing people. Hey, this is the album cover. What do you think, Meek? Yeah, let's go with that. So these people are just following suit. Okay. I was just saying earlier today, you set the tone for how your family treats you when you walk out my door. Okay. Whether you're going to your job or going to see your friends, when you leave this door, I don't care if it's my daughter, my spouse, my sister, my mother, my father, when you're around other people, you set the tone for how your family is going to treat you. Okay. So Meek Mill, as a black man, should know better. He should not want to see his sisters look like that.
Right.
If he's approving it and the label is like, you good, we good. And then the bus, the people that were paid to wrap that bus, including the city that said, okay, everybody's getting paid. And if it's the expense of black women, oh, well, I mean, the catalyst was a black man, right?
Mm-hmm.
Meaning the black man that approved his album cover. So why would they care? Meek Mill is setting the tone for how he sees black women. So these people, they're business people. You're going to pay me to wrap this bus? I got you. The city's like, you're going to pay us to have this wrap on there? I got you. I don't care what y'all do over there, what your condition is of your community. I don't care. And Meek Mill doesn't care either, because I'm sure by now he's a millionaire. So what does he care about a little black girl sitting in her dad's car that has to look to the right and see someone that looks like her bent over like that? What does Meek Mill care? He's up in his castle. What does he care? But I think it's the fault. It starts with that particular black man, not all black men, but we're talking about Meek Mill. So that particular black man. So where's the accountability? We can't blame we can't blame the people that put it up, and we can't blame the white man that went on the rant. I refuse to blame them. I refuse, when it started with a black man in a studio.
Okay. So yeah, that's where I object with you then. You saw it coming. I have an objection, and that is, so where we do agree is absolutely. It starts with Mr. Mill here.
Mr. Mill.
Mr. Mill at the, here at the start. It does start with him. However, I do have an expectation for city leadership to understand.
Do you?
I do have an expectation for city leadership to understand just basic decency and observe basic public decency, either norms and maybe in some cases laws. You have to go in. I guess no law was actually broken, but goodness gracious, if a law wasn't broken, then it was somebody kept right up to the line when it comes to decency. I mean, that was a naked woman, the caricature or the drawing or illustration of a woman who bare-breasted, and then the other side of it bent over, with the little pink dot illustrating what we all know it meant to illustrate. If that's not coming close to just public decency, either cultural norms or laws, then my goodness. And so, yeah, my expectation would be that, yeah, okay, there's culpability for the person who wanted to do it, but there should have been somebody in authority, because Mr. Mill does not have the authority over the city streets and, and public presentation of, things like that. He didn't have that kind of authority. Somebody should have, the adult in the room should have said, hey, this is a bad idea. No?
I object. Because I think the adult in the room is money, right? And money doesn't have feelings. Most people want to go out and vote for someone that's going to look out for them. Like you just said, there should be some authority in the city, right? So I'm going to vote you in, right? I think differently. I want to make enough money to buy a politician. Most people are voting for politicians. I want to make enough money to buy a politician, because that's what really moves politics. People think it's the vote, right? But if I want something to go a certain way and I have enough money to pay the politician, guess what bill is getting signed? The one I want, not the one that you want because you voted for it. Okay, so it's all about money. So the adult in the room is money, not Meek Mill, not the guys that run the city, not the guys that wrap the bus. So with a system like that runs on money, shouldn't the onus be on the black man that should protect the image of black women? How can we ignore that he is the alpha and the omega of the reason why this went on the bus?
So, do you think that that's the way it should be in terms of, because your argument is, hey, that's the way it is, or that's how that's how you see it in terms of the interpretation. He's got the money. What's happening here is he's paying off people. Everybody's getting paid. Money's making it happen. Do you feel like that's the way it should be? That's that's the right way for us to be here, or do you feel it should be different?
Absolutely not. It is despicable, but it's the way it is. So I like dealing with the way it is, not the way I want it to be, not the way it should be, because I'd be wasting my time, right? Control what you can, have the courage to blah, 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 know the difference. So we have to know the difference. In a perfect world, I would not pull up to a bus in the public with naked Black women painted on the side. In a perfect world, in a world I would like to live in with my children and my grandchildren, right? In a perfect world. That is not where we are, right? Not where we are, especially in entertainment. But I'm tired of people not holding the right people accountable, because these people, the powers that be, they're going to take your money to make more money. So they don't care.
But they're accountable for that too.
Say again?
But they are accountable for that too, no? I mean, you're saying, hey, it is what it is, and so it just goes. But I'm saying that's still wrong also. For me, I'm not saying that, Meek isn't culpable. I'm saying that he shares culpability with the people who are, taking the money and glad handing it all the way to the bank. No?
No, so I agree with you. It's absolutely wrong. Like I said before, it's absolutely despicable that is the system, right? But I think the person that's connected to the community is the one that should be looking out for the community, but he's looking out for his own pockets. Well, yeah, they're absolutely wrong. The people that wrapped the bus, the city official that okayed it after looking at the picture, because someone has to okay this picture. Someone looked at that picture, said, good to go. How much money can we get? Okay, good to go. Next, what's the next issue? And signed off on it. Absolutely despicable, right? And I'm sorry, I don't think it would have happened if it was white women. I don't think so. But I think the responsibility is Meek Mill's. But even he's like, where's the money at? Is this going to create controversy? Am I going to get more record sales? This is what I'm going to have to do. And if Black women are insulted on the way, who cares? I'm in a mansion.
Right. I got you. Okay. So as I segue to the final topic that I would like to for us to cover, I'm going to go ahead and drop our link to come on up. If you have an objection, if there's anything that you wanted to voice all the way up into now into the last segment, then feel free. You got the chat right there to come in and let us know what that objection is. All right, so I'm going to bring this down. Let me take us to the final topic, and let's see what we. So we're seeing how we can go in on this one. So this one allows us, I think, to take a broader look at the situation and pull it a little bit out of Mr. Mill and do a little bit of what you were doing, actually, a commentary on where we are with how things work, in the culture, in that particular situation. So let's just ask the question formally. What does it say about the current state of our culture? I'll say one little thing and then I'll throw it to you. It's really, really interesting to me. If we go back, we can, in our lifetimes, remember a time when something like this, if it had happened, would be absolutely 100% scandalous, flat out, and maybe we have to go back to the 80s, the 70s, definitely the 60s. But there was a time in our culture, be it the Black culture or the broader American culture, where something like this happened, then heads are rolling and stuff is going down. But for some reason now, we live in a time where that was even possible. And so for me, it begs the question, there are some things going on in our culture that are the conditions are just right, for something like this to even happen. And, Mr. Mill can use something like this as a point of controversy as opposed to being canceled as opposed to being canceled. And that's, a nice little pivot to some other things that are going on. This might not it's probably won't get Mr. Mill canceled. It's probably going to have him benefit from it. So, what does this say about the current, what does this say about the current state of our culture? That we have, for me, the level, the morality level, the decency norms have fallen so low that, and especially as it relates to the image of Black women, that we can actually put something out like this, and there's going to be some moral indignation coming from a lot of people, and maybe some people on the other side are saying, "What's the big deal?" What do you think?
So, this is gonna be a good one. I lost my train of thought. It was so good.
And while you taking that back, I do want to acknowledge we got a couple people.
Oh, I got
back.
it.
Okay, we got a couple people in the back, and as soon as the time is right, we're gonna go ahead and pull you up. Go ahead, Jen.
Let me say this: the state of the culture, right, is in a state of emergency, and here is why. My point of view, right? First of all, let's start with this. I really want to start with this. And the reason why I'm starting with this, right, is because there is a demographic of our culture, Black and Latinos, who are doing excellent. There are 16-year-olds starting their own companies online. There are kids being accepted to 10, 15 colleges. There's a lot of Black and Latino excellence. Okay. They're award-winning filmmakers of all types. So let's start with that. Unfortunately for us and our children coming behind us, this culture, this ratchet culture rules the world. This ratchet culture rules the world. And that is an issue. So when we do this and this, it doesn't matter how many men and women are living positive lives, right? On a grand scale, because we're constantly being represented, unfortunately, via media, videos, Instagram, social media, music, art, by these ratchets. And because these ratchets are the loudest, right, and the most exposed, that is how we're seen. So that's the problem. But here is the problem with the current state of the culture. People of color, Black people, have now started capitalizing off this degenerative culture, right? Remember back in the day when it was like the white man's oppressing us. The white man suppressing us. The white man's putting drugs in our neighborhoods. The white man is putting liquor in our neighborhoods. And it's true. It's true. He did all of that, right? And it made a lot of money doing it. Right. The reason why I feel like we're in dangerous times, and I'll wrap after this, is because now our own people have noticed, wait, how long does the Black dollar circulate in the neighborhood? What do these people gravitate to? Drama. Okay, they like wigs. They like singing and rapping about drugs. They like drama between the sexes and the genders. Shit, I'm throwing my cap in there, and I'm getting rich off of that too, which is why we've seen this onslaught of YouTube personalities starting wars, because it pays. So I think the reason why we're in a state of emergency is because now not only do we have systemic oppression, right? Governmental oppression, things like that, but now we have our own people capitalizing off of that oppression. Mm-hmm. Okay. And capitalizing greatly. So now we're fighting two battles. We're fighting, the pale faces, and we're fighting, the charlatans that are like, I'm making money off these broke down idiots. I don't care. Insert Meek Mill. Meek Mill knows that was wrong to represent Black women that way. He's not an idiot. You're not going to tell me that he's an idiot. You have to sign a lot of contracts. You have to have a lot of meetings with a lot of suits, right? To have that image plastered on a bus. He's not an idiot, right? So insert people like Meek Mill who are constantly doing this. Or let's say, not to pick on him, let's say like a Kanye West talking about, I love a hoe, or whatever that song was, right? So it's not just a Meek Mill thing here. It's people that start YouTube pages, Battle of the Sexes YouTube pages, right? It's Cardi B, it's Meg Thee Stallion. And what do? These people are constantly rewarded, right? Pepsi is collabing with Cardi B. Nike is collabing with Meg Thee Stallion. So it's getting harder and harder and harder for us, right? It's getting harder and harder when the big wigs are supporting these people. So where do we go from here? I think we're in a state of emergency, and I don't see it getting better with the rise of the machines, social media. I don't see it getting better. It's making our job as parents 100 times worse.
Got it.
I can't fathom pulling up to that bus and seeing a woman bent over like that and her vagina in pink, like.
Right. Yeah, it's absolutely horrible. So you know what? So I can vibe with the general thinking here of what you're saying, because I do think it's accurate. I think that the buck, now when it comes to stuff like this though, I do have an objection, because I don't think that the buck stops. And I'm gonna pull right after I say this, you probably want to have a response, and I'm gonna pull up our people who've been waiting patiently in the back. We got 3 now, and we're gonna pull all 3 of you up. Is I don't think the buck stops there. I think what you're talking about now, I don't think it's new. It's been, in terms of, say, the hip hop culture, we have been placed in a position where, if you remember, I'm old enough to remember back when there was a surge of what we want to call positive or uplifting hip hop, where self-destruction, you're headed for self-destruction, and many songs by enlightened, what we might say are enlightened hip-hop artists who really was putting music out there that was pushing the culture forward in a lot of positive ways. But when we study it, I think we see and we realize that there were quote unquote the powers that be that didn't support that. Instead, they supported, because at the same time the self-destruction was rocking, we had, the beginnings of, the street rap and the reality rap of, Ice Cube and that whole, Ice Cube and what's the broad group name that's escaping me? Say again.
NWA.
Yeah, and NWA, they kind of kicked it off because they were so real. It was like legit real with it.
But they were ratchet.
Yeah, and then it just and we saw, I remember when that first hit, it was so real and so powerful that you could not deny the energy that was coming with it, and it was truthful. But then over time, that type of energy slowly was promoted. Next thing you know, we're got songs that were promoting, smoke. I got 5 on it, and now we're taking the culture another way, and Snoop and. Not just, and then further on down through the 90s, through, the new millennium, and then on forward, this is not, I think, a new thing where we're seeing where this has been. It was just like in the lyrics. It was just in the music. To me, this seems to be pushing it further. So yes, while I can say that we do have, I agree with you when you say that we have individuals who are Black, and who say are women who maybe, for some of them, who are profiting from it. I think someone posted here that, it was a woman who actually did the cover. It wasn't her idea to put it on the bus, but, I think maybe a woman who designed the cover. So they're benefiting, but they are being supported, they're being pushed in a way. It's the powers that be that are supporting this over that. And it's been happening for a long time. So I don't want to, again, I think it's a lot of culpability, but I don't think that the biggest share of culpability just goes to the people who are doing it. They're like puppets, puppet. We got a puppet master here that's doing a number of things, that's, pulling the strings and pushing the culture in a certain direction. I'm going to let you respond. And as you respond, I'm going to go ahead and pull up our people in the back. What you got, Jen?
I object. No, I actually agree with something that you said that's very important. Back in the day, when we had that conscious hip hop and rap, it pushed the culture. We all started getting the cool. You remember, we all started getting the kufis and the African beaded chains, and we were there, right? Everybody had the Queen Latifah hats on. I know I did, right? So, it was pushing us, right, to be more conscious. I think with the way music is today, right, it's pushing this generation the opposite way, right? It's pushing them the opposite way. And before, there was a divide, right? This is what's strange. And I got to blame social media again and FOMO, the fear of missing out, old folks' fear of missing out, right? Back in the day, there was a divide between the generations, right? Like old people got to say, what is that crap that you're listening to? And young people got to say, oh, you don't understand, right? But then when we look at our age, we're like, wait, well, we listen to some nasty stuff too, right? So I think now the problem is also that there's no generational divide. Old people, right? Women as old as 40, 50, 60. Now they want to be down with the Cardi B and the twerking, and they're on TikTok, you know what I mean? And seeing if they could do Meg Thee Stallion thing. So it's like now all the generations are convoluted and there's no guide. There's no guide. At least back in our day, we had elders to say, why are you listening to that? That's not real music. In 10 years, that's not going to be, classic or whatever. But now it's like you have grandmothers, great grandmothers, you know what I mean, twerking in their living room to WAP. While Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion grind on each other. So there's no generational divide. So that's what I'm saying. There's so much corrosion. It's like it's just getting worse and worse and worse. There are no elders to say what is that on the bus. Now it's like people our age want to be down with the kids, so they're like, oh, that's Meek Mill, that's cool, it's okay, it's not that bad, and that's a problem.
All right.
Welcome, everyone. I'm so happy to see all of you.
Yes, we have spoke our piece. We have made some objections, and now we're bringing up people to object to anything we've had to say or any part of the conversation. I want to start by throwing it to OG Patrice, a day one supporter, always been here. Ma'am, great to have you here as always. Love the way your brand of objecting, but doing it with all due civility and respect. What do you object to?
Absolutely. I actually am split down the middle, right, between both of you guys. So I absolutely agree with Jen on the responsibility where it now has to lie at this point in our culture, right? Because you actually, Frank, took the words right out of my mouth. We headed for self-destruction. That's where we headed in this culture. If somebody within this culture and community don't start standing up more, don't start petitioning more, don't start writing in and complaining to these music executives. Now, I said before, the music executives used to have meetings. They are the ones that turned the narrative around for rap music, okay? And that influence, the influence on the artist, because they knew the artist wanted to be rich and famous. They wanted it bad. They sold out to that a long time ago when they changed from being conscious rappers to being gangster rappers. Okay. This is real deal, real stuff that I experienced with being in the music industry for over 20 years. There were meetings had by executives to change the narrative of how rap is to be portrayed in the Black community. We went from conscious to kill that ninja to the bees and the holes, almost with the snap of a finger. So now that there are more independent artists out there doing their own thing, they are the ones in control now, believe it or not the music executives anymore, because when you got the Master P's and when you got the people that started their own labels and things of that nature, they didn't need the music execs then. So why should they need them now to control the narrative of what the culture should be in the Black community now? So at what part are the fans of the artists are going to stand up and the artists themselves and say, no more. We're not doing this anymore.
I think you bring an excellent point, and that's a good counterpoint to something I said a little earlier, where no Master P came up. He didn't have Master P was doing his own thing, starting out on the out of his trunk, selling his albums on the street. And so yeah, he was definitely one who took advantage, Jen, to your point. What I want to do now is go ahead and throw it to our next guest before the billions, who's come up and always also day one supporter. Sir, do you have any objections?
Yes, sir. The objection I have is that it. The objection I have is that the label and the cover artist had nothing really to do with it, right? It's kind of taking away the responsibility that they have, and then it's also counter to everything that we know about the music industry, meaning that hey, you have all these labels who Meek Mill is signed to, like Warner Bros or Warner Media. You have MMG, Maybach Music Group, and you have a whole bunch of other ones that he's under, like Atlantic, and all these people have to get paid off of what he does. I'm sure he has a PR team as well. So all those other kind of people could have caught that. Overall, I think that he doesn't really have the final say in a lot of things too. He might be like, okay, I'll put out the music and stuff like that for the label to hear, and then the label has the final say. And then even after he put out the music and his label put it out, the album flopped. So, and then you see stuff like this where the guy is outraged and he's like, okay, what is the label going to do to get their return on investment? So what they did was they put out this advertisement that probably cost a lot of money to put this, this nonsense on this bus, on this public bus. So yeah, that's my objection, is that the label has the money and is also making a lot of the actions behind the scenes. He's, Meek Mill is just like the figurehead or the leader.
Mm-hmm. Got it. I'm glad you brought that point, and it underlines a little of what Patrice is saying. You know what? And I appreciate the personal experience that Patrice is bringing to this particular part of the conversation. So after we go through, I'm going to give Patrice just a little bit more time, because I'm very interested in the inner workings of the backgrounds of how we got here, so to speak, considering that she has some direct experience. So I'm just giving you that heads up. But before we do that, I want to go ahead and throw it to Fawcett Media, who has come along and kindred spirit in a lot of ways, sir. Glad to have you here.
Yes, sir.
Do you have an objection?
Objection. Absolutely. Of course I'm going to have an objection, right? First off, shout out to you. What's up, Frank? What's up, Jen? How y'all doing? Before the Billions, OG Patrice. What's good? I heard, now, am I echoing or anything? I'm good?
You good.
Okay. I heard Jen say out her mouth that this foul actually stems from only one person, and that would be the black man in this scenario, when we're vehemently overlooking the fact that Frank just briefly kind of brushed by, which I'm gonna give you a little flack on that, Frank, too.
Mm-hmm.
That this, and this is somebody that's been in NFT art right now I've been steeped in it for the last month or so. This is a black female artist. Now, how are we going to do this? Are we going to have a celebration of black female art that this black man, because I come with receipts now, this black man has shared, he has shared this black woman's work to the world? Or are we just going to go ahead and say that, this is only a black man's fault because black men are always trying to exploit black women? Now, and you coming from art, a lot of art has nudity in it. Does it belong on a bus? I will agree. Absolutely the wrong place for it. Somebody made a wrong decision there. But the fact of the matter is, this actually originates from the mind of an artist. Can we even say that? Can we even say that? And I don't think it'll let me share my screen, Frank, but I actually have receipts, as you say. I have receipts.
We might try to figure out how to get those on, but I believe you. And if we want to pull them up, I believe there might be a way for you to share the receipts.
Yeah, I got it in my StreamYard, but
yeah, Frank has to let it up. You share it just like it's another person, and then
and then I can pull it up.
Yeah,
yeah.
Oh,
so
okay. Maybe it's in there already then, because I said
yeah, you have to click share.
Oh, it is there. Yeah, hang on, real quick. Let's just
come with receipts, my friend.
I'm gonna give him just a couple seconds here. I'm gonna go ahead and throw the receipts up real quick so we all can see what you got.
please
you can
remember.
walk us through here.
Okay, so this is the artist. This is Nina Chanel, and her last name is Nina Chanel. Let me get the Abney. Nina Chanel Abney is the artist behind Meek Mill's new album cover, Expensive Pain. Rapper Meek Mill is no stranger to letting his artistry stand out, and this new album cover is no exception. This is Meek with said picture album cover. Actually purchased it. He's a patron of the arts. This guy right here from the hood in Philly purchased this Black woman's beautiful artwork. Now, beautiful, art is subjective, so who knows if it's beautiful or not? You know, you might not like the fact that there's a bent over woman in it, but it does represent something to Meek Mill. And it might be a commission because it's got everything in it Meek likes, which is, you know, motorcycles, dirt bikes, boat dinghies, and women, of course. I don't know about this Masonic imagery that my man's talking about here just because it's a checkerboard. Take that up with the artist, please. Take that up with the artist. Got an 8 for like shooting craps, you know what I mean? Like, so we gonna really suppress the work of a Black artist, a Black female artist, and that's what we're supposed to be uplifting. That's what we care about. Who are we really selectively outraged against right now?
Hey, okay, so I'm gonna throw it to you, Jim, but let me do this real quick. Listen, this, my peeps in the chat, is how you object. My man brought the fire. This is fire what he's bringing, but he's doing it with straight up pure. I mean, he's killing us with kindness, that old saying. He's doing it with civility and with respect, and this is it. This is what this show is all about. But Fawcett Media just brought an objection. All right, he's bringing the fire. Jen, so just props to you for that. Jen, I know you're ready.
I am ready. I want to address really quickly this man here really quickly, and I don't want to disrespect Fawcett Media at all, but he says at Jen, why is she still talking about Black issues? This keeps her in trouble. Honey, the last time I was in trouble, I was under my parents' roof. I don't get in trouble out here, and I will discuss any subject that's brought before me. Okay.
Who said that? I didn't say that.
Big Vine said that.
Not you. I'm talking about this guy in the chat who's like, you know what I mean? They keep perpetuating this narrative that I can't speak on Black issues because I get it. Last time I was in trouble, my mother and my father were upstairs. Okay. I'm grown. With that said, Fawcett Media with new information, revelations, epiphanies. If it was a Black female artist, which I did not know because I didn't research who the artist was, then they are both culpable. So I'm not being selectively outraged. I think it is the image of Black people is the responsibility of the Black people first and foremost. But I will object to your objection when you say that Meek Mill gave her permission, blah, blah. It's still his image and his rap record, not hers. She got paid to do that. And as far as art, I would use that term loosely, just me personally, because it wasn't, let's say, like something that we've never seen before, or like, like a Picasso or a Basquiat, images that we've never seen before. She just cartooned strippers on poles. Right? So I would use art loosely. It's not like, oh my God, I've never seen that image before. In my opinion, she was just like, what do strippers look like bent over? Let's do that. What do strippers look like topless? I'll draw that and then I'll call it art. To me, it's a depiction of a strip joint, right? But because she's an artist, we have to call whatever she puts on a canvas art, but it's literally a replica of a strip joint, right? So that's how I feel about that.
Okay, so I'm going to throw it back. This is nice. We're going to go ahead. Since you brought it up and we got a little something here, I'm going to give you a little time, Fawcett Media, to give us your response.
Okay. We cannot, art is subjective. Let me just say that. So what Jen sees in a picture, what Jen sees in a piece of art is cartoons thrown together of people at a strip club. And it's not like Picasso. But I would venture to say that Picasso actually is not too far from what you're seeing right now. And nobody in Picasso's era, in those original days when, you're struggling and people haven't seen your work, nobody really would say this is high art in the era, you know? So what makes a Picasso painting worth 140 million? Oh, it doesn't look too far from what we're actually looking at from Meek Mill's artist here, her style here. She has a little more modern take because it seems like these are actually pieces cut out of paper as opposed to just a cartoon gen. And I think it's kind of reductive as an artist to call somebody else's art not good or trash or not very very thought out. People pay her for her art. Who are we to judge? And Meek Mill actually paid probably a pretty penny for that piece.
Okay.
I yield the rest of my time.
All right. That was a good use of the time.
Okay, so then art is not subjective. Is that what you're saying? You're taking that back?
No, I'm just saying we can't throw that blanket statement out there.
Then you said, who are we to say that it's not art? That is good. So is
because there might be another time where you actually enjoy that piece of art.
I know,
but
you
saw it in MoMA,
or is it not? Because you said it's subjective. Then you followed with, who are we to say that that's not good art? So is it or isn't it?
But I'm saying you're judging it. You're judging it. I'm saying you can't just judge it. I mean, you can have your opinion. Absolutely. You can have your opinion. Yes, you can have your opinion.
Okay. All right.
But
I just wanted to make sure that it was subjective.
It's not fact.
It's subjective. It's opinion.
Right.
Like, I think Picasso's work is crazy looking. I wouldn't buy a Picasso. I don't care how much it's worth. It's not what I want to see, you know what I mean, when I walk in my living room. But some people would say, it's blasphemy. How dare you, Picasso? Look at the colors and the lighting and the. So I look at her art the same way. I was like, okay, so you finger painted a strip joint. You know what I mean? It's like that's how I would look at it. I wouldn't want it hanging on my wall either. Now, interestingly enough, her other art looks more interesting. You know what I mean? So if I went to see her exhibit, I'd be like, okay, that's cool. That's cool. That's a strip joint. Don't need it. But I think when we're talking about the rapper, and then I'll throw it back to you, it was his choice, right? Snoop Dogg was on Red Table Talk, and Jada Pinkett's mother, asked him, why do you have to call women bees and the H word and blah, blah. He was like, I made a gospel album. Did you hear it? Nobody bought it. Right? Do you remember that? He was like, nobody bought it. So the next one I'm dropping got the B's and the H's in it because that's what people want to hear. So these artists know what sells. It starts with them, right? Like I said, it's about money. It's about money. So
but I would say probably the record label made the decision to put it on the bus. Meek Mill didn't actually go out and say, yo, put this on a bus right now. He put it on his album cover. I'll give you that. But
you know what?
That was marketing.
And guess what? We have someone who has, and this is what my opportunity to throw it back to Patrice here, give you a little time. We have someone with direct experience on how those kinds of decisions can be made sometimes. And even though she wasn't in the room with this Meek Mill thing, she probably has a little insight on how these things come to happen. So OG Patrice, what's your point on this? And do you have an objection?
I agree with Fawcett on the art being objective, to each his own. The art is in the eyes of the beholder or whatever. I did not know that it was a Black woman that was the artist. Wow. I'm not blown away of the fact that she does what she does. That's her art. Art is a part of, entertainment in some form. And I respect that. I don't hold her in high regard now, knowing that as a Black woman, she allowed her art to be on the canvas of a public display like that for children to see and just in the general public in the eyes themselves. But what I'm getting from this is if Meek Mills, was buying her art anyway, and looks like that painting that you showed earlier, he's been supporting this woman, which is great. If he wanted that on his album or his CD cover, great. You just have to put the parental discretion advisory labels on there. when it comes to things of that nature, because you go in Walmart or wherever you buy your CDs and pick that up, you're still going to see these portraits of naked women. So to understand how the music industry really works when it comes down to these decision making, it has changed since 10, 20 years ago. There are groups of people that are doing things to be accepted in the upper echelon in the industry, as the elites, as they call them in the industry, and they doing these risque things because they are pushing agendas. So the meetings, like I said, the meetings are now, once you become a part of the upper echelon, or these elites as they call, once you become a part of that, you have to push out whatever they tell you to push out. And if it's an agenda towards a certain community with initials, then you got to do that. If it's certain hierarchies that's telling you to push out more of the sex to sell it, then you have to do that. So just know that these are reasons that these things are happening, because agendas are being pushed to the forefront. And if we don't fight and say something now, it's going to take over all forms of other things in our lives. And as I said before, we're going to go down this slippery slope of where we are sliding on an open wound that was open with a razor blade, and they pouring salt on it. That's exactly where we're headed as a culture and as a community. So again, the fans have to speak up. The artists have to draw the line somewhere. But when you become part of the upper echelon, you have given that control to the executives again. So, and that's where I see that this is.
Got it. Thank you. Yeah, and wanted to give you just a little time on that one. So kind of rotating it a little bit, I want to give Before the Billions an opportunity to object before we take it to, I'm probably going to end up throwing it back to Jen after that. Before the Billions, what you got?
Yeah, so for me, I'm glad that Jen also said that, yes, it is not just only Meek Mill's decision. It's not like he made the artwork himself. But honestly, I think that since everybody is kind of in agreement with the fact that it's not only just Meek Mill's, say in this, I think I don't really have much of an objection after that. I think you guys kind of solved that.
Well, so for me, just jumping in a little bit on it, what I'll say is that I think that we have to go ahead and see we need to be able to see the stairs, all the way. If we can say that, what, Mr. Mill hired this young lady to, use the art in a way that he's, see fit on the album cover. And so she did it, she got paid, and so she benefited in that way, and that's kind of her skin in the game. In the same way, Meek Mill himself is being paid by his higher ups to do what he's doing. And I don't know whether or not there's Patrice has any insight on the way something like this can happen, where you got an album cover being thrown on a city bus and can actually be drove around the city like it's nothing. But I do think the culpability definitely comes with him, but he is, again, I'll go back to sort of my point of him being a puppet. He's being paid in the same way. And so if she has that out, I've been paid for this, and so, it is what it is, then he has the same out, in my opinion.
Yeah,
So
Frank, can I add on to that?
Yeah.
So one thing about it is that, at least, from what I know as far as the music industry, is that a lot of these, a lot of your favorite rappers and stuff like that aren't always going to be as rich as, they seem. Like Meek Mill, he made, I looked him up, his net worth is 15 million. Well, I think it's like 20 million that he got paid, like 15 million. A lot of that is, the label just gives him the advance, which is just pretty much like an loan. So he has to pay all that back through everything that he does. So if, I don't know, I'm not sure if Meek Mill is the one who paid this woman, or it came from the budget, from the advance, from the label. So really, the label is the one who's paying for all the cover art, all the advertisements, all the merchandise, everything else, all the shows that he goes to, and then that's where actually he makes money up more so off of the shows than he would actually from the album. So yeah.
Patrice, does that sound right to you, generally speaking?
I'm sorry, I was up doing something. What did you
Okay.
say, the last part?
No worries. I was just sort of kind of trying to lean in on your experience a little bit, and basically that the label itself does a lot of the paying for and enabling things directly related to the album. Do you kind of find that in your experience?
Yes, absolutely. The artist is given a budget. The budget covers, the CD or album cover, any other marketing and advertising, radio time, touring, wardrobe, things of that nature. So when they tour, all of that is included in the budget of the artist. And
Got
then
it.
they work with, if Meek Mills say, hey, I like this really good artist lady, she's really great. I buy her art all the time. I would love to have her, do my CD cover, and whatever else, marketing that may come out. And then, they show the work. The artist comes in, show the work to the executives, and they make a decision. They choose whatever, whichever one they think is liked or gonna move the masses the best, with, of course, the approval as well of Meek Mills as well. And because we are living in a time in this culture where in rap music, sex sells more than the talent itself, of course they're gonna pick that. And whatever that looks like for demeaning Black women, it's just another day at the office for them. We've been demeaned for how long now in rap music? So it was another day in the office for them. And Meek Mills rolled with it.
Got it.
But we were the same people that was fighting and standing up and calling and petitioning, saying free Meek Mills when he was locked up. And that's the thanks we get.
Right. No, it's right back to it. All right. So what I want to do is I'm gonna throw it to Jen, but I do want to. Yes, and I'm good. Oh, Jen? Who's objecting here? Because let me say this before we throw the objections in real quick. I just want to give a shout out to Adrian, who is pulling up points of law, and so I'm loving our chat when we have our chat coming in and putting up very specific points of law. Hey, we got to give a shout for that one with some props. In Miller versus California, Section 413 U.S. 15 in 1973, the Supreme Court upheld the prosecution of a California publisher for the distribution of obscene materials. In doing so, it established the test used to determine whether expressive materials cross the line into unprotected obscenity. I guess so. She's just making a point here that the Supreme Court actually weighed in on this and upheld, this. It makes. I think she's saying it's making it more available in general for that obscene material to cross or approach the line. Okay, so there's an objection here from, I believe it was Jen or Fawcett. Who had the objection?
You guys have objections.
Okay.
I had a quick one. Well, not a quick one, but OG Patrice. So I heard you say something that I've heard as just in these YouTube streets and the internet, being in the internet for years, there's always this refrain of this higher power organization that is controlling the music industry. Sure. There are people in charge of everything, and there are weird people in charge of everything. But in this day and age of independence and autonomy that the internet has created, why are we still believing that that the Illuminati is making Meek Mill disrespect Black women, and that Meek Mill is the best example of disrespecting black women and rappers. Because I mean, I would say like the images that, like you said, Cardi B and Meg put out are 10 times as damaging. So, you know, I would just question just the narrative that we all know that this is how things go in this
Somebody get their phone.
current era. It's not my phone. So
Okay, go ahead.
but yeah, in this common era of music, I just think it's kind of limiting, and it sounds a little conspiracy theorist. And I live in LA too, so you know I've been to parties, but nobody dressing up with no what was the Stanley Kubrick movie?
Clockwork Orange.
Eyes Wide Shut.
Eyes Wide Shut.
Yeah, it's a little theatrical for my taste.
Okay, so let's have this quick back and forth, and then we'll throw it to Jen. Patrice.
And do you have any examples? That's the other
let's
thing
go.
I was asking.
Yeah, let's go to Patrice on that one that was directed directly at you, and then we can go to Jen right after that. What you got, Patrice?
Yes. So that's what you call it, right? You call it the Illuminati. I said elite and upper echelon as my way of interpreting the big machine, right? The big machine that controls the the masses in the music industry. And there is a set of people that are in power in the music industry that does just that. And there are, listen, I'm still in this industry, so I have to be very careful with what I say and how I choose my words.
Okay, please do so. Yeah.
There are some things that has happened in the industry that I think that you guys should check into. I can't really. I'm really trying to be careful with my words. Okay, careful. Some people, yes, some people believe in what you just called the Illuminati or whatever. I'm not necessarily saying that that's it, but there is a upper echelon or elite that controls certain things within the industry. And once you become a part of that elite, then there is a certain amount of control that they have over you. Listen, if we wasn't on a public platform, I could tell you some stories that will absolutely blow your mind, but I still have to work in this industry. And I would still like to get phone calls and still like to be able to get auditions without phone calls being made to stop my bag, because that is real.
Yes.
Wait,
but just know, but just know that is real. That's all I can say. And if that's how you want to name it, Fawcett, then that's cool. I say upper echelon and elites. So I'm just gonna leave it at that without saying anything more.
Okay. I think that's responsible. And I think that on that one too, we could probably leave it here for now, unless there's a very specific thing a little bit later on in terms of pushback. We want to make sure. I know me. I'll just say this. I want to make sure that I stay protective of all of you. I love the fact that you all are here supporting, and I don't want to mess up anybody's. I'm not going to try to push you to, mess up anybody's bag or, do anything that you feel is unwise.
And Jen has black and white checkerboards behind
her. Here we go.
Earlier. Wait a minute.
Jen, what you got?
I want to kind of like piggyback off of what OG Patrice said and said it's also in the film business. I have, we all got some friends who got some friends. And I know a couple of, household name actors who told me like, I got kicked out of certain groups in certain rooms because I wasn't down with what they wanted to do. So they kind of like oust you, when they see that you're not down for the get down, they kind of like, okay, so you ain't one of us, you ain't, so it happens, I think in all genres of entertainment. But my objection was to you, Frank, and it's going to sound like what Fawcett Media said. I don't think that these are puppets and with puppet masters. I don't think so. A puppet is loose and it's on strings, right? Mm-hmm. I don't see Meek Mill as a puppet master, and I think it's kind of like trying to blame the devil for something you wanted to do. Meek Mill wants to make money. He wants to be rich. He wants to post his Gucci and the Maybach on the Instagram, right? It's like, to me, that's not a puppet. That's a willing participant who knows where his resources are. I think that's different than an ignorant puppet that doesn't know, like, oh my God, you're making me do this and say things, say this, and you know what I mean? And you can throw that on the artist as well. I don't think she's a puppet. What's going to be controversial? He's a rapper. Rappers and strippers go together. What strippers are usually the ones that go together with rappers? Black strippers. She could have did white strippers. She didn't even throw in one white stripper, right? She chose dark-skinned women, right? So I don't think these people are puppets. I think they're well aware. And like someone mentioned earlier, with the independence of social media, these people are promoting themselves now, damn near. So I didn't even think that these labels are the machine they used to be. That's why when you get a gig now, whether it's acting or how many followers do you have on Instagram? That's what they ask you now, because they want to know, how can you promote what we're doing? I just got asked that today. Well, how many followers do you have on Instagram before we hire you? It's literally now how you get hired or not. So I have to object with the puppet factor. He knows exactly what he's doing. He knew what, like I said, they're trying to out scandal each other. Okay. And let me tell you the story, but I gotta stay safe, like Patrice. I'm friends with a stuntman, a Hollywood stuntman, and there was a rapper recently that did a stunt that was absolutely outrageous, something that you would think like someone would never do for their own safety. And he wanted to put it on his Instagram and say, hey, I was the guy that really did it. It wasn't the rapper. And they told him, you will not release this information, because we need people to think that it was the rapper that did it. So the rabbit hole is deep, right? The rabbit hole is deep, and I can't put it out there because he can't even put it out there. So I can't, reveal. And he was upset. He was like, they're not giving me the okay.
For his word.
They're not going to give you the clearance, not for this guy.
Right. Okay, I got you. I'm gonna put the gloves down then on your objection. I don't think I think you make a fair point, and I don't know a whole lot about Mr. Mill, so I'm not gonna choose to die on this particular Mill Hill.
Mill Hill.
All right. I think I'll put the gloves down and give you a fair point on that objection. So I'm going to continue to throw it around. Fawcett Media, you got your hands like you want to jump in, and then maybe before the billions right after that?
No, I was just agreeing. I was agreeing with the point. Me and Jim were actually in agreement.
Vibing. Wow.
What?
Okay.
Yeah. But I just think I respect your privacy, Patrice. We're all working professionals. I'm still in the industry. I told you I'm in Los Angeles right now. But I'm just saying, like, we got to break free eventually, and maybe we'll become the elite society of our own, and we won't have those rules. You know what I mean? But that comes with a lot of kind of really building something. Like it's argued that Tyler Perry is autonomous right now, and do they still control him is the question. He chose to play Medea. You know what I mean? Respect to him. I actually worked on Meet the Browns, so like it's we have to take some responsibility for some of the decisions that are being made. And as you can hear, the ghetto bird helicopters overhead. They're watching me right now. No.
Okay.
But no. So I mean, I just think the future's now. We got to step past that old way of thinking that we have to bend to somebody's will, because they trying to get what we got now. They trying to get hot off of what we make. And it's just like, I'm actually looking for an agent right now, and I was looking at some of the top tier agencies. Well, what's the best way to get the attention of a top tier agent is to make your own project and make it hot. So, what I mean? Like, they're following us at this point. They don't know what Meek Mill expensive pain is.
Gotcha. Okay.
Anyway, and why would Meek Mill be the guy that's like, I feel like maybe they might reach Jay-Z's level. They'd be like, yeah, Jay-Z's at the level. Meek Mill has $20 million. Like, before the billions did. Like, he ain't even that big a deal. I don't know.
Gotcha.
Well, Frank, Fawcett Media. Sorry.
Well,
To add on to that,
actually, let's do this because I think we are covered it in a lot of different ways. So throwing it to you, I believe I want to begin a sort of wind down where before the billions, I definitely want you to jump in. I'm gonna give you a little extra time if you need it, and then we're gonna have you all say sort of your final thoughts on it as we wind it down. We covered this in a lot of good ways, and we brought some heat, very very, and we learned. I think a lot of us learned some things across the board. About this as well by doing so. So let's do that. We're going to kind of edge down a little bit before the billions. You have the floor.
Yes, sir. So yeah, Fawcett Media. I remember you were saying that yeah, just because I said his net worth was 20 million, he doesn't necessarily have that. So I think that that's well, I think everybody can understand that net worth is just how much you're earning versus your expenses, but like I was saying, he probably has a lot of expenses. He talks about rolling on his wrist every single song. So them Rolexes kind of catch up to you if he has so many of them, and he got so many kids. So it's kind of like you have so many things kind of pulling away from that. People who's under him that he has to pay. He has his own label and stuff. So I'm sure that all of that stuff is extremely expensive. And if you guys know, a lot of labels, like the majority of the people under the label, lose money. So they're really only eating off the top people, which is why you see like a Nicki Minaj or a Drake or somebody who gets so much money that okay, they're certified to be rich. They're certified, they make a lot of money, but they're making so much money that the label's taking away so much money from them and kind of paying off these advances for all these people who are just losing money.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say probably like I think it's like 80% of most of the people on the label always lose money. And then even when you think of Meek Mill's label, Dream Chasers, you can't think of any rapper from that label other than his cousin, I think. But and he hasn't been, you probably can't even say his name. You don't even know him. So that's the only thing about it is that you may not even know some of these people, and that's just losing him money as well. So I had to add in on it.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thanks for
pull out the black women on stripper poles. Yeah, the emergency controversy.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna rotate it over to OG Patrice for your final thoughts on this. What say you?
Yeah, just there definitely needs to be some accountability held on that Black woman's part, and I think it takes other Black women, to speak up on that. When it comes to, we can't, not just because we're Black women, we can't let other Black women get away with that type of rhetoric and shame on our community. I understand she's an artist and she's trying to get the bag and she's trying to get her name out there and things of that nature. But if we don't start calling a spade out here on each other, then these things are going to continue to just, get overlooked and swept under the rug. And if it took the attention of a white man in his rant to have to really come out and bring it to some attention, what does that say for us as Black people who probably saw that bus and didn't say nothing, didn't say a thing, didn't say a word?
Mm-hmm.
So I even question that. And the accountability again of the artists, the Meek Mills of the world. They had Black people petitioning and signing for him, free Meek Mill, free Meek, change laws, and and then this. So again, accountability. There has to be the accountability. And if you want to do any type of research on some things that some artists that was in this industry have said in their experiences, YouTube is the best place to go. We on the platform right now. Listen to people like MC Shan's story. Listen to people like Choke No Joke, who was with Rockefeller, and Dame Dash and Jay-Z and them to the exception, and the things that he talked about that happened to him, how he got blackballed because he didn't accept certain things from certain people.
Wow.
Listen, this stuff is real. I mean, my girlfriend, she sang with the Wu-Tang and the Roots, Jaguar Wright. She went viral for exposing the industry. She wasn't lying. That's all I gotta say. It's just you can research it. It's right on YouTube for yourself, and then make up your own mind.
Okay, thank you. No, very insightful. Thank you. Let's go ahead for your final comments. And I see you shared something in the chat. I'm going to copy it in. I want you to set it up. Fawcett Media, what are your final thoughts?
Yes, thank you, Objections crew, Frank and Jen, for having me. I'm Frank Fawcett. I would say my final thoughts on this piece, this story, is that we have to be, if we look at the Dave Chappelle situation, we have to be careful about jumping to conclusions and canceling people. I would say Black men in particular are easy, I wouldn't say targets, but they're easily written off as somebody who wouldn't, who should know better. And what are you doing? We're always wagging our fingers. We should look deeper into these subjects before we make a snap judgment. But anyway, I'm Frank Fawcett. I'm an actor, writer, filmmaker. I've recently become an NFT artist, and that's what I shared with you. To link to a short film that I did a while back.
I just posted it.
Yeah, called Prophetic Dreams, right? And it's a nice little piece that was initially going to be part of a bigger thing, but since NFTs have come along, I started making this art in smaller forms, and it can be purchased just like the painting that we saw here from Meek Mill's Girl. But yeah, you can make an offer on the piece. There's a set price for it. It's sold in Ethereum, which is cryptocurrency. But I think it's one of the steps we can take to that independence that I was talking about. Is becoming creators and actually being able to generate income while doing it. And like we're on YouTube. We're really trying to push for the TLA $35,000 a month. But shoot, some people are selling pieces for that, single pieces, and right now it's a wide open industry. So yep.
So, go ahead.
That was it.
So I want to say then, I like this pivot, in a way we were talking about something and we were bringing in sort of the issues surrounding, okay, whether or not, Meek Mill has ultimate control, but you got a lot of things that are coming into play as he gets whatever bag and whatever nefarious means he's getting it. Meanwhile, we got a nice pivot here to an independent creator who's doing something in a progressive way with the NFTs. Which are brand new, cutting edge. I'm assuming you may even do something, explaining NFTs a little bit more on your stream at some point, Fawcett Media.
Yeah, I was definitely thinking about covering it. I think it's very low key. It's very saturated right now, but I think it's saturated with the wrong kind of people. It's saturated with more people that are looking for the profit because it's very lucrative right now, and cryptocurrency in general, But it is changing people's lives in this very moment. So, I think it needs to be kind of told from our perspective as well, so that we can put it out there. A lot of information on Twitter on this stuff too. So they're having spaces all day, 24 hours a day. Somebody's doing a space on NFTs. So
yeah.
They're really pushing it. It's going to be,
Well, it's a nice pivot, especially, for me, it might be a good thing that help push us back where we were talking about towards more positive. So I want to go ahead and say thank you. You all, this is not the first time that the three of you have come on to bless us with your objections and then contribute along the way. So I just want to extend a special thank you to all three of you. Jen, do you want to echo that?
Absolutely. I love y'all, even when I disagree. And I got one last objection before we close.
Okay. Well, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave them up for that, and then I'll bring them out so you and I can close it together.
Okay, I just want to respond to Pastor Media about the finger wagging. I don't think there's enough finger wagging. I think that's the huge problem. And I only say that because we are saturated with the ratchet. We are saturated with the degenerative art and music and culture. So I think there should be way more finger wagging. That way, at least there's a balance. And I don't see a balance right now. And just to echo what OG Patrice said, we didn't know about this artist until there was strippers, black strippers, on the side of a bus. And therein lies the formula. Just like Snoop Dogg said, hey, I made a gospel album. Y'all didn't pay attention to me. I say H's and B's and you pay attention. So that's why I said this is code red. Like even black people are noticing, well, I get attention if I, you know what I mean, do this ratchet stuff. So that's what I'm saying. That there should be more of this from a lot of us because they're going to bury us. We're going to get buried in this ratchet culture. We're going to get buried. Our children are going to get buried in it. So I'm for I know Fawcett Media said, but I'm for the finger wagging. Everybody wag a finger. Because now we know about this woman. She's been making art how long? And now we know of her because she put black strippers on a bus, on a canvas and gave it to me. It's like, it's not cool, man. It's not cool.
Hey, Frank.
Yeah.
Let me say this one last thing. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I saw that Black Rain was in the chat. He said Meek Mill only has 2 kids. So I think I had misspoken saying, oh, he has so many kids earlier. Yeah. And then he only has 2. So I wanted to make that correction.
Get the record straight.
Yep. Yeah, I didn't want to make him sound like he was Future or anybody.
That's a whole other objection show.
Patrice, I saw you unmuted. Did you want to say something real quick before I put you guys back into the chat?
Yeah, just wanted to thank you guys as always for allowing me to come on your platform and voice my opinion, objections, and things of that nature. You guys have very good topics that leads to very good conversations. But what I would suggest is definitely, as a people, as a community, and as a culture, start putting action behind these things that's coming up and that's going on in our communities. We have to do more than just come on these panels and talk about these things. Mm-hmm. We have to find solutions as well.
Mm-hmm. So true. Thank you. All right. Well, we appreciate sort of that another call to action, if you will, to increased action because it's absolutely necessary. What I like here, as I just thank you all again, as I put you guys all back in the back, and please hang out in the chat. Is you know what, I really appreciate the what we see here in terms of you know, this is on wax now, so to speak. You know, you came in and contributing to something, and this is going to be here. And, you know, we have people who are sort of responding to, you know, the Meek Mill situation in some ways that don't necessarily go as deep as we appear to have been doing here lately. But it's here, you know, so when later down the road, you know, I think that there's some things here, some nice little nuggets that people can watch a little bit later and pull something from and be positively influenced by. So you all helped bring that. So again, I want to give you that personal thank you for contributing as well. We know we love to have you. We love when you bring the heat, and then when you have a little knowledge and things that we can share, that's also valuable. Jen, you have anything you want to say before I take
We have the most diverse, well-read, intelligent, experienced panel ever. I just want to say that. You know, people come with receipts.
Yes.
And not only life experience, but experience in these, you know what I mean, in these genres and businesses that we talk about. So it's a really dope crowd. And I appreciate everybody that comes on, even the ones that object women.
Mm-hmm. And before we go, we have to make sure to promo that the next one, we all over here right now, but the next one will be over on the Block with Jen. On the Block with Jen for the next one. So be sure. I'm sure she's going to have a hot topic. She's going to let us know what it is. I'm pretty sure that if you are not subscribed now, then please go ahead and subscribe so that when she posts the next objections, it pops up and you see what that hot topic is, and we can keep it going as we go back and forth. We'll go ahead and put this up right here. Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I just want to add what OG. I want to piggyback off of what OG Patrice said. Listen, you don't have to start big. Start small. Start having these conversations with your family, right? Because each one teach one, and they'll have conversations with their friends and their family, et cetera, and with your children. Have these conversations. Don't ignore it, because there's a war on the streets, and they want our babies. So, yes. Continue to share this dialogue, please. And thank you for being here tonight again.
Yes. Yeah. If we didn't need any proof, almost literal war on the streets, at least in terms of the hearts and minds and culture, we just got it. We just got it. So I second that and underscore that right along with you. All right. We want to be respectful of everyone's time. Thank you so much. This has been a great one. We're going to keep it moving. You know how I like to do. I'm going to roll my outro. And if you have anything you want to add in the chat, I'll be sure to throw it up as we head out. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and give my salute. Thank you so much. And we out.